While he has achieved quite a lot in what is already an illustrious managerial career, there are some things about Thomas Tuchel, not personal things, but how he was treated in France, that will truly shock some of you. So yeah, today this will be the main topic of discussion, but before we dive in, we need to discuss some other matters as well. For instance, Manchester City have made a €100 million bid for a player who could be ready for a big money move. Are Manchester United done with their transfer business? Juventus have signed a talented Brazilian who could be the next big thing in the game. But that's not it. Inter Milan's new kit for the new season looks different, but many people aren't big fans of it. We've got all this and more in today's episode, so make sure to subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Inter Jersey Farce. Socios are a platform that provide non-fungible tokens, or NFTs in short. The fan token has become quite a thing and has replaced the club's historic association with Pirelli after a 26-year collaboration. The company's CEO, Alexander Dreyfus, thought that the partnership wouldn't rub fans the wrong way. However, Socios got one thing horribly wrong. The Nerazzurri's iconic striped shirts were casually replaced by a different design that hasn't been much appreciated by the fans and even neutrals. And Dreyfus admits that the Inter-Pirelli association is something different. The week was crazy because I didn't expect it to get so much feedback or interest. Dreyfus told Goal, "I think if we had taken any other jersey it would have been, that's great, next story buddy. But because there was this 26 years with Pirelli, it was completely different. Hopefully the designers of next year's jerseys don't ignore the importance of history in the game." Arsenal stalwart set for long stay. Before the 2020 European Championships began, if you were to ask any Arsenal fan about the importance of Granit Xhaka, they would effectively dismiss the 28-year-old as an important member of the squad. Indeed, the Swiss international has had a love-hate relationship with the fans and must have been eager to leave the club as well. At the Euros, he was one of the driving forces behind the national side's fairy tale run. He put in quite the display against some of the best teams on the planet. Throughout the tournament, we were led to believe that Xhaka would be leaving the club for AS Roma, where Jose Mourinho is a big fan of his. However, it appears that the Arsenal fans and the club's decision makers are on the same page and don't want to lose a player who might be ready for a good season. Mikel Arteta says that there is no move to Roma for Xhaka and the midfielder is set to stay at the club. Granit Xhaka is going to stay with us. He's a key member of our squad, Arteta confirmed. This would be a great bit of news for the Gunners faithful who might be sweating over the fitness of Thomas Partey, who suffered an injury in the recent friendly defeat at the hands of Chelsea. Sterling future up in the air? Despite shining ever so brightly for England at the Euros, it appears that Raheem Sterling's future with Manchester City is unresolved. The former Liverpool man is no longer an undisputed starter under Pep Guardiola, and he's got 2 years left on his current deal. It appears that the Blues are not too eager about rushing into a renewal process while the player is also happy with the current status quo. However, the next piece of news might change things. Manchester City set to break transfer record? So apparently, Manchester City have already launched a €100 million bid for Aston Villa captain Jack Grealish. The English international has been hotly linked with a move to the Etihad, and Guardiola might see him as an upgrade to Raheem Sterling. While the villains are in no rush to let go of their main player, they might reconsider the stance, especially if Grealish wants to move on. Villa have already secured the services of Emi Buendia and Leon Bailey this summer, and Grealish might want to wait around for one more season before leaving. However, if he is to leave, Aston Villa could make a move for Norwich City star Todd Cantwell. If City are able to sign Grealish, it might end Harry Kane's hopes of leaving Tottenham. City seem to be the only club in England at the moment that isn't going to bat an eye paying over the odds for any player, but maybe making 2 100 million signings in one window could be too much even for them. Manchester United transfer window not over. While they've already signed Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho, United might still continue to make waves this summer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still needs a midfielder and a right back, so either of these positions will be taken care of. In the midfield department, it appears that Saul and Ruben Neves are the two main options. The Spaniard's move hinges on United's decision on Paul Pogba, who could be sold this summer. However, if you ask us, we would prefer Ruben Neves to move to Old Trafford. The Portugal international has proven Premier League experience and has a different profile to the Atletico man. Moreover, the Wolves man's passing abilities make him a player who would synchronise perfectly with the midfield. Juventus sign the next big thing. For a number of months, Juventus have been keeping tabs on a certain Brazilian wonder kid who's destined for greatness. Caio Jorge has been doing well for Santos ever since making his debut for the first team. The teenage striker will be out of contract by the end of the year, so the Brazilian Giants have no option but to get as much money out of his transfer as they can. And now it's been confirmed. Jorge is set to sign for Juventus for a reported fee of €1 million, and Santos will be happy that at least they got something out of a player who could have walked away for nothing at the start of 2022. The signing is also a major coup for the old lady, since they will now be able to unlock the striker's boundless potential. Shocking things Tuchel faced before coming to London. Once Chelsea announced the arrival of Thomas Tuchel as Frank Lampard's replacement at Stamford Bridge, deep down all of us knew that the Blues are hiring a manager who will make the London Giants a more consistent outfit. We all knew that they had some really good players in the squad, but Lampard was somehow unable to make these lads play to their best level. And Tuchel's arrival coincided with a sharp uptick in form, as Chelsea went on to lift the Champions League title at the expense of Man City. The win was also a moment of redemption for Tuchel, who was the losing manager in last year's final, where his team were humbled by Bayern Munich. The German tactician became the first manager to guide Paris Saint-Germain to a Champions League final, but the next season his side was struggling for form and consistency. PSG decided to wield the axe and relieve Tuchel of his duties. The German was replaced by Mauricio Pochettino as PSG relinquished the Ligue 1 crown to Lille. Tuchel, on the other hand, has gone from strength to strength, and if someone tells you that Chelsea aren't one of the favourites to win the league this time around, just roll your eyes and ignore them. So what exactly transpired that saw Tuchel leave Parc des Princes? Of all the managers PSG have hired since the Qatari takeover, the former Mainz manager is the one who's carried them so far. We would go out on a limb here and say that Tuchel could have established his own legacy in Paris. Sadly though, he wasn't allowed to do that. While many PSG fans and Ligue 1 followers initially believed that Tuchel was the problem at the club, it wasn't him. It was PSG and the way that it's run that's the problem. He just wasn't accepted by the club's fans or the hierarchy. Perhaps they wanted someone with the star power of Max Allegri, Jose Mourinho or Zinedine Zidane. However, at the same time, in order to understand Tuchel as a person, you need to look at his past. The German tactician is one of the best on the planet, but he has a seemingly strange relationship with people and reacts differently to certain situations. During his time in Germany, both at Mainz and then at Borussia Dortmund, Tuchel was far from a fan of the media. He doesn't like being criticised and has even ostracised journalists for not thinking things through. During the last few months at PSG, Tuchel was clearly annoyed by the French media. Once the reporters started writing about how his team should play and what they should do on the field, it was a point of no return for him. Hopefully, the same fate doesn't befall him at Chelsea when the team is struggling for results. But at the same time, Tuchel isn't the sort of person who likes politics. On the eve of his sacking by PSG, he said that he loves football, before indicating that at PSG, it's not always football that dominates things. PSG normally don't sack managers during a campaign, so seeing Tuchel get the boot was a little bit surprising. But then again, the Qatari owners needed a manager who was more than that. They needed someone who would be the face of the club in other forms as well. Tuchel simply wasn't that person, and when results started going the wrong way, the media started talking about the team's deficiencies and the manager's shortcomings. It was always going to happen, but little did they know that the German tactician wouldn't stay quiet and would always let his voice be heard. Under Tuchel, there were signs of slight disharmony in the dressing room, and that's another reason why his sacking was inevitable. Tuchel has done really well at Chelsea, but then again, last season was something of a honeymoon period where he exceeded expectations. Chelsea will go through tough times next season like every team does. Can Tuchel be a little bit patient and act uncharacteristically this time around when that happens? Because if he doesn't, the English media will definitely not be very forgiving.